Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hidden Korea, your window into the most thrilling stories in Korean entertainment. Tonight, we bring you breaking news that has the entire industry on edge. In an unexpected turn of events, Yoona and Junho held a sudden midnight press conference, sending shockwaves through fans and the media alike. What exactly happened behind those closed doors? And why was Chea left completely speechless? Stay with us, the full story unfolds right now. Only on Hidden Korea. The city of Seoul rarely sleeps, but that night, it held its breath. Rain tapped against the glass of the Miri Hotel, where a row of black vans rolled to a stop under flickering streetlights. The doors opened, first one, then another, and from the shadows emerged Yoona, the actress who had ruled both cinema and the internet for the past decade. Her face was half hidden under the brim of a navy hat, hands clutching a white envelope so tightly that her knuckles turned pale. Behind her walked Junho, the nation's beloved singer, confident, composed, and yet strangely quiet. Cameras clicked from every direction, flashes slicing through the humid air. Dozens of reporters shouted questions that bled together into a wall of noise. "Miss Yoona, why call a press conference at midnight? Is this about the rumor with Junho? What's in the envelope?" She didn't answer. Neither did he. They simply entered the hotel ballroom, where a long table and two microphones waited beneath an enormous banner that read, "Special Announcement, Midnight Press Conference." Inside, the air was thick with anticipation. Over 100 reporters filled the room, fingers poised above keyboards, phones streaming live to millions of viewers. The clock on the back wall ticked toward midnight, 11:59, then 12 o'clock. Yoona sat down first, her gaze steady but glassy, like someone staring through glass into another life. Junho followed, straightening his jacket. The clicking of camera shutters echoed like gunfire. Then she spoke, her voice trembling, but sharp enough to cut through the room. "Thank you for coming. I know it's late, but there's something the world deserves to hear from us." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Junho kept his eyes on the table, his jaw tightening. When she reached for the microphone, placed his hand gently over hers. The cameras caught that, and the internet exploded. In another corner of Seoul, Chea, the young actor who had recently filmed the drama with Yoona, stared at the television in disbelief. He had just returned from a night shoot, still wearing his character's torn coat. The headline across the screen made his stomach twist. Yoona and Junho to reveal secret at midnight press conference. He turned up the volume, his pulse quickening. Back in the ballroom, Yoona opened the envelope. Dozens of photographs spilled across the table, glossy prints that caught the flash of light. Gasps filled the room. Each photo showed Junho and Yoona together, in cars, in hidden restaurants, in foreign airports, clearly intimate, undeniably close. Some were blurred, sharp enough to freeze the nervous smiles on their faces. Reporters erupted. "Are you admitting to a secret relationship? How long have you two been together? Was this during Junho's last tour?" Junho stood abruptly, his chair scraping the floor. "We're not here to talk about rumors," he said, his voice tight. "We're here because someone tried to destroy us." The crowd fell silent. Yoona lifted her head, her eyes shimmering with restrained fury. "For weeks, we've been blackmailed with these pictures," she said. "Tonight, we chose to show them ourselves, before anyone else could twist the truth." A wave of disbelief rolled through the hall. Some reporters froze mid-typing. Others exchanged glances. The story had just turned from gossip to scandal, and something darker. Chea leaned closer to the screen. His hands trembled. A chill crawled down his spine as he realized one of the photos, taken months earlier on a film set, included him in the background, blurred, but unmistakably there. "Why am I in that shot?" he whispered. The feed flickered as the press conference descended into chaos. Reporters surged forward, questions overlapping into white noise. Junho slammed a folder onto the table, revealing a set of emails, threats, demands for money, and one phrase repeated over and over: "The truth comes out at midnight." Yoona exhaled slowly, the weight of weeks pressing down on her shoulders. "Whoever they are," she said softly, "they wanted to ruin us. But now, find them first." Outside the hotel, thunder rumbled across the Han River. The rain grew heavier, washing the city in cold silver light. Inside his apartment, Chea's phone buzzed with a single message, from an unknown number. "You were there that night too." Pretend you weren't. He froze, staring at the words. The message ended with a photo, a dark silhouette standing behind Yoona's car, and the outline looked exactly like him. The screen blinked, then went black. Rain hammered the city until dawn. Reporters still crowded the hotel steps. Cameras glinting like restless fireflies, but inside, Yoona and Junho were gone. Only the echo of flashing bulbs and hurried whispers remained. Across town, Chea sat alone in his apartment. The room dark except for the bluish glow of his phone. The last message, "You were there that night too," still burned on the screen. He replayed the photo over and over, zooming in until the pixels fractured into static. Silhouette could have been anyone, and yet every line of it screamed him. A knock shattered the silence. 3 sharp taps. He hesitated, then opened the door. Ho stood there, sulked to the bone. Eyes wild from exhaustion. "Can I come in?" In stepped aside, wordless. The singer walked straight to the window, looking out at the dripping skyline. "They think you leaked those photos," he said quietly. "What?" Chea's voice cracked. "Why would I?" Junho turned. "Because your name was in the emails." Chea blinked. "That's impossible." But Junho tossed a printed page onto the table. Name was there. Clear as ink. Chea, witness A. "I don't know how it got there," Min whispered. "You have to believe me." Ho studied him for a long moment, then dropped into a chair. "I want to. But someone wanted this to look like you." Outside, sirens howled somewhere near the river. The storm hadn't ended, it had only moved. Meanwhile, Yoona sat in a narrow office in Gangnam. Visited journalist from Seoul today. The woman placed a recorder between them. "You realize," she said, "that exposing the blackmailer might also expose you." Yoona's lips curved in a tired half-smile. "Then let it." The reporter leaned forward. Was Junho worth it? Yoona met her eyes. It was never about love. It was about survival. The answer struck like a slap. Outside, thunder rolled again. Back at Chea's apartment. Power flickered. Junho's phone buzzed, a video link from an anonymous source. Without thinking, he pressed play. Screen showed surveillance footage from a parking lot. 3 months earlier. Location, Busan. Yoona's car entered the frame. Moments later, a figure approached. Holding a small camera. Junho's breath caught. Chea stepped closer. Heart pounding. "That's not me." The figure looked up at the camera. Rain dripping from the hood. For a split second, their face was visible. It wasn't Chea Minimum. It was Yoona's manager. Junho's expression hardened. She knew. Hours later, he confronted Yoona backstage at a rehearsal hall. The lights were dim. The air humming with electric tension. "You staged the leak," he said. "You wanted sympathy before your contract renewal." Yoona didn't flinch. "I wanted freedom. You think they'd ever let us live without a scandal? At least this way, we controlled it." Junho laughed bitterly. "Controlled it? You destroyed everything." She stepped closer. "No. I gave you a story. Without me, still be a perfect idol with nothing real to say." Moment, neither spoke. The hum of the stage lights grew louder until it felt like thunder. Junho turned away. "You used me." Yoona's voice softened. "I chose you. There's a difference." But before he could answer, a familiar ringtone cut through the air, Chea's call. He answered. "Junho. Need to see this." The emails came from her manager's laptop. "But there's more. He's missing." By nightfall, the police had found the manager's car abandoned under the Mapo Bridge. The laptop still inside. On its cracked screen glowed a draft email, unsent. "If this goes wrong, tell them it wasn't Yoona or Junho. Them it was me. I just wanted to protect her." The revelation spread faster than the storm itself. By morning, headlines screamed. "Takes the fall, midnight scandal ends in tragedy." But not everyone believed it. And watched from his window as reporters packed up their vans. In his hands was another envelope, delivered without a return address. Inside lay a single photo, Yoona and the manager arguing in a dark corridor. Weeks before the leak. On the back, a note in jagged handwriting read, "The show never ends at midnight." A week later, Yoona appeared on a talk show. The host smiled too brightly. "It's been a difficult time," she said gently. "Anything you'd like to say to your fans?" Yoona paused. Cameras zoomed in. capturing every flicker of emotion. I learned that truth doesn't always set you free, she said. Sometimes it just changes the cage you're in. The audience fell silent. We're backstage. Junho watched through a monitor. Expression unreadable. When she finished, he turned off the screen and walked into the rain without an umbrella. Outside, posters for their upcoming collaboration album fluttered in the wind. The faces printed side by side, forever frozen in that impossible balance between fame and ruin. That night, Chea sat at his desk, writing a letter he knew he'd never send. Whoever's still watching, you wanted chaos, and you got it. But maybe chaos was the only way to find out who we really are. Did the paper, set it beside the envelope. Opened the window. The city below pulsed with light. Restless and alive. Somewhere out there, stories were already rewriting themselves. Turning pain into headlines. Headlines into myth. A final flash of lightning split the sky, illuminating 3 figures on 3 separate paths, Yoona in a studio under harsh lights. Junho walking alone through rain-slick streets. Chea staring into the distance, waiting for the next message that would never come. And for a fleeting second, all of Seoul seemed to whisper the same words. It never ends, it just changes its face. Morning finally came to Seoul. Soft and indifferent. The city resumed its rhythm, buses roared. Neon signs blinked off one by one. And the rain-washed streets forgot the noise of cameras and flashlights. But somewhere, behind each silent screen and shuttered window, the echo of that midnight still lingered. Yoona released a statement days later, not through PR or television, but handwritten. Folded once and posted online. Mistakes, but I never faked the truth. I only tried to protect the part of myself that fame could not touch. Junho, meanwhile, returned to the studio. No interviews. No excuses, only music. The first song he recorded after the chaos was titled 1201. A single minute past midnight, a quiet rebellion against endings. When the song dropped, the internet fell silent for a beat. It wasn't scandal they heard anymore. It was pain, redemption, and the fragile heartbeat of forgiveness. And Chea? He left the country for a small role in an independent film overseas, a story about 3 strangers connected by one secret night. When a journalist asked if it was based on real events, he only smiled. Every night has its own truth, he said. You just have to survive until morning to see it. Some stories burn out with flashbulbs. Others fade like smoke, leaving behind a scent you can't forget. Night chaos was both a fire and an afterimage. Proof that even in ruin, there can still be grace. To everyone who stayed until the end of this long night, thank you. This story began as a spark. A whisper about fame, fear, and what happens when truth becomes entertainment. It grew into a storm because you kept reading. In a world obsessed with perfection, midnight chaos is a reminder that even the brightest stars tremble sometimes. And that being human, its noise and mess, is still the most beautiful thing we can be. Thank you for walking through the darkness with me. For listening to the silence between the words. And for believing that stories, even painful ones, can heal. Own midnight always lead to light. Until the next story. With gratitude, the author.